First of all, we had a lot of protests in Florida that were peaceful, and no one said anything about it. But I also had a guy jump the fence in the governor's mansion. We saw some places in Tampa and Orlando where people started to get violent. Now that was reeled in pretty quickly. I called out the National Guard. We were very serious. Obviously, I had people like Carmine who were ready to go for it. But I think if you look around the country, what happens is, like in Portland, these people riot every night. They go, they get their mugshot, and then they get put right back on the street to do it again. That's what we don't want. What we want to say is, you know the difference between going out and doing First Amendment stuff, which obviously we all support. It's part of being American. The minute you harm somebody else, or you harm somebody's property, or you do those types of things, the only way we're going to put a stop to it is to have very swift penalties for it. And so I remember, seeing some of the police, how they were treated was horribly. People throw stuff, throw bricks at them, do all. You've seen in some of these cities, whenever there's a little bit of unrest, literally there'll be a U-Haul that just gets left there, and there's all this stuff in the back of it for these people to do all this stuff. And so we don't want that coming to Florida. There's a lot of places around this country that have not stood by law enforcement, and the tragedy of it is, you're seeing crime spike in certain parts of our country like we haven't seen in decades. And the people that are going to be most affected by that are the most vulnerable members of our society. And in fact, when these guys are getting called out, they're usually getting called out to help victims who can't defend for themselves. And so they need people who wear the uniform to be able to go out and to be able to protect them and to be able to provide a measure of justice when they're being harmed. And what I've seen throughout the country is people stepping back from this, not supporting law enforcement, being very lax, allowing more and more of this to happen, and it's caused increases in crime, and that is going to have devastating consequences. It's so good to have a good economy, schools, all these great things that we always fight for. All of that collapses if you don't have public order and public safety. And so one of the reasons we're here today with the bonuses is because we know just how important that is. And so I think that what we did plants our flag in the ground. It tells people, hey, if you're in Portland, you think you can come down to Florida and do this, stay out of our state. We don't want you coming down here and causing problems. And if anyone does cause these problems, if you try to burn something down, you try to harm anybody, but particularly a police officer during one of these violent assemblies, there will be consequences. They will be swift and they will be severe, and they will be such that people who see that happening will know that's not something that we want to do going forward. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon.